You think Common Ground is worth a buck? Consider leaving a tip at lptv.org. Lakeland Public Television presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Awesome. And I love it because it makes me have to actually play the instrument and keep everything in a continuum rather than relying on an edit to tell a story.
So you got enough to sell here? No, I just,
Sir, would you like
am I gonna get a check? I got bills. I gotta buy diapers, man. I gotta buy candy for my kids. I gotta buy pop.
But that's not.
I don't drink water anymore. I just drink pop.
That's supper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for including me in on this wonderful conversation. I have a bunch of questions, and I've got 28 minutes of footage left.
Go do it.
Ask away.
Shoot.
Back to language, something that came to mind when you guys were talking about the robbery of language and how that's kind of one of the first things after cutting off the hair, take away the language, and the culture starts to fall apart because there's all these little nuances in language that really speak to the ideas and concepts that people hold in their heart. I'm friends with a lot of young Native kids on Facebook, and I see them do their Facebook posts, and it's N-word this, they call each other the N-word back and forth, and it's all ghetto culture. It's all
Saying native?
Yeah.
What's up, native?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I wish. But it isn't. It's the culture that's being marketed, and it's kids in the suburbs are doing that too. White kids in the suburbs are doing that too. But yeah, I mean,
I know.
it,
They don't say it around me, but I've heard them. You know, they look at me like, oh.
so I
turn their music down when I'm walking by.
But like that's something that I've observed, and I've talked with some other Native folks locally just about, like, Lakeland is trying to do documentaries and media that helps preserve and showcase the beauty of Native culture. And a lot of young Native culture is urban culture. It's what's being marketed. And could you talk a little bit about maybe what you see being marketed and how maybe Native culture could be marketed properly to young natives?
Boy, I don't have a lot I can say to that. I don't know, Martin, do you have some thoughts on that?
Marketed? What do you mean by marketed?
Sold. Like
Sold.
literally, like
Culture sold?
Yeah, I believe that right now, and I could be wrong, but basically young people in America, young Native people in this area, and like I said, white kids in the suburbs too.
I mean, it's like, well, it's for me, it's like the culture's already being sold. You know, I just bought some the other day. You know, I bought my language on a tape. You know, so for me, you know, I'm totally against selling the culture. I think there's certain things. I think we could sell fashion. You know, we could sell fashion, and we can sell contemporary art. You know, but as far as culture goes, I think that it's not something that should be sold.
Well, no, I'm not so sure. I mean, I got a little different take on that. That not culture, but I mean, it's true that ghetto culture seems to be what has taken over. It's sort of the lingua franca of contemporary youth culture. Now, one of the most interesting things that I see Native teachers struggle with is this concept of the warrior. And when you've got the gangs, when you've got ghetto culture, and the idea of the warrior has been appropriated by these gang cultures, and ultimately to set up a model that doesn't look backwards but say, okay, the ultimate aspect of a warrior is the power of restraint and the power of gift and service. Sometimes you need to set a concept out into which people can try to fit or try to grow. And this hunger for native reality, both by the young native people and the non-native people, speaks to there's some deeply held values and strengths within native culture that are not being presented well enough to the young people and are being bastardized. And I pick up the warrior idea just because that's the most problematic of them. It's so easy to say, honor me and don't diss me, and therefore you violated my honor, so therefore I've got to, stick a knife in your neck, or, and
I think there's a negative sense of pride and a positive sense of pride. For me, when I was younger, when I was growing up, I looked at that. We got to be tough. We got to be this. So I grew up, and it's like I wasn't scared to fight, And it's like there's times where I initiated that, and a lot of times I got beat up, It's like, man, I'm not a tough guy or nothing, but I definitely wasn't scared to fight, So it's like that's a negative sense of pride, though. It's like I'm native, and I got to prove it. This is what it means. And test me, test me, come at me, and we'll see what happens. That's kind of the mentality I had. But now it's like, that to me, I look back on that, it's like a negative sense of pride, And I think a positive sense of pride is understanding who I am and where I come from and the purpose of my intelligence, So we think our way through and we move forward. And it's like, I think to create a culture, to move forward as a culture, I don't think it needs to be marketed. I think stereotypes need to be broken. I think new ones need to be created. And I think it's about, people understanding, that type of the warrior thing, the whole warrior thing. People need to understand that. That's a warrior. That's in a way that's a romantic word. In a way that's a long time ago. They had to be warriors, but there's new ways of being warriors. There's new, it's like, so now you see people graduating from college, and the elders are calling them warriors, and other people are calling them warriors. But to me, even that, it's like, where's the Indian and all that, really? It's like you're self-sufficient right there. So you're following a traditional value, and you're creating opportunities for yourself. That's being self-sufficient. So right there, you're progressing as a human being in society, but you should never compromise or prioritize those things and compromise your culture, your traditional things, your ceremonies. You got to make time for those things, and you got to take time to do them, and that's our identity. So I think, to me, when I look at, like I have family, I don't have a degree, I have family that, some of the most intelligent people I know. I know somebody, my uncle, he doesn't write English, he doesn't read it, he can't, but he's one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, speaks about 7 languages, and he knows all these old traditions, and he could build a log cabin up to code, and he can take an engine apart and put it back together. So there's intelligence, and then there's knowledge. And I think by people, they've changed that standard of being a warrior to gaining knowledge, and that's not right, because it's not about being knowledgeable. It's, to me, I look at my uncle at home who's catching fish, and he's dropping off fish to all the elders, or one of my best friends who's dedicated her life to trying to bring back the language, and she's teaching little kids, going out of her way, taking time out of her day to teach. And anybody who's ever been a teacher knows that you got to put in extra time for a small paycheck. So those people, to me, the people that are at home trying to carry on those ceremonies, the people that are at home trying to teach the language, the people that are carrying on those traditions of sharing traditional foods, taking the time out of their day to go out and catch those things, and then just deliver them so that person who can't fish or can't hunt can eat those things. That, to me, is a warrior right there.
Well, that to me, I want to jump in there, because that's one of the places where I think that there's a universal that's well embodied in the native tradition, in that dominance is what matters in the contemporary culture, and the self. You talk about self-realization and self-actualization, but the self is a very limiting concept. The community or the tribe or the family or the Teoshpe, whatever it is a bigger concept, and you need to serve that bigger concept. If you're just serving your own self-identity or self-realization or accomplishment, that falls right into the trap of our Western model of the individuated self. And the Native tradition doesn't look upon this achievement of strength for the individual as the highest point of accomplishment. It looks upon service as the highest point of accomplishment. Men who speak softly, men who serve, feed the elders, take the food to the tradition was, you know how, you were just saying it. They bring the food to the elders, they bring the fish to the elders. They understand something that there is a greater strength in service.
Those are the leaders.
Yeah, and we should be able to look at that and
they're the
say,
teachers.
yeah, here's something that we can bring into the dominant. Here's a model by which we can look at a different idea of manhood, a different idea of family, but it all has to do with service, because it's an attribute of strength. It's not an attribute of subservience. And
I think that's something that's, something that's great about that is like being a leader, being a leader. We need leaders, but that's something that people grow into. I think somebody who pursues leadership, somebody who's trying to get to that level of being a leader, that, anytime I see that, there's a selfish sense of pride in that, and it's like you're pursuing that for yourself, it's like, but there's people that learn things, take the time to learn things and gain that knowledge, and then they apply that knowledge in their way of life, and then they teach, and those teachers are the leaders. So we don't necessarily need warriors, or because it's not about a fight anymore. We're not, my ancestors, 3 generations ago had no choice but to fight, and they were warriors. And today, it's like we think our way through. So it's not about fighting anymore. It's about thinking our way through and thinking about how we can move forward in a positive way and still maintain our identity. So I think that as we progress, I think the notion of needing more warriors and needing more leaders is a negative way of looking at things. I think that, and I can't say negative way of looking at it.
Need more of what?
I think we need more teachers. We need, because if you have a youngster who is saying, end this, and like they're talking, they're trying to talk gangster, they're trying to and you look at that as a negative thing, to me that's, I grew up in society, and there's a lot of contemporary things that I do, and it's like, for me, it doesn't bother me that much to see, people in the latest style or fashion or things, but what bothers me is what, their actions, you can talk however you want, but it's about your actions, I'm not going to judge somebody by the way they talk or the way they sound, but by their actions, So I know people that have a certain accent, and they say that's their accent. That's how they talk. If they talk gangster, if they talk native, or if they talk white, or they talk India. That's just how they talk. It's like it depends on their actions, who they are as a human being. So I think what we need is people teaching those traditions, people teaching those values, people teaching those things. We need more teachers.
Well, like you do it right. I mean, Martin missed his plane a while ago because he stayed in Fairbanks to see your grandma. Wasn't that it? That stayed to see his grandma. And not as some noble gesture of I need to see my grandma, because that's what you do. It's what you do. You honor your grandma and you learn from your grandma, and she's there as your gift. Your touch with another generation and with the people of your ancestors. So you just do it, and it's not a sacrifice.
No.
And it's a
that's an honor.
Yeah, it's an honor, right? It's an honor.
And plus, it's like,
no,
and
that's a real concept of honor, not the honor of man, you're wearing the wrong color. You walked across my path. That's not honor. That's foolishness.
My grand, the elders are awesome. They're my friends. It's like, to me, when I look at an elder has lived his or her life, and they've they're no longer trying to gain anything for
Mhm.
themselves. They just want the best for the next generation. You
Wanna
know,
give,
so
they
they
wanna
want
give,
to
yeah.
they want to give, and they want to teach, and they
Uh-huh.
want to share. So to me, when I think about, you know, you always hear people say, you always hear natives say, respect your elders, and it's in conferences, and you know the slogan on the corporation of the tribe that is, you know, drilling for oil or whatever, you know, or that's the slogan, the Indian slogan, respect your elders. But I think a lot of people have forgotten what that means, because respecting your elders in our tradition, respecting your elders doesn't just mean be nice to your elders when you see them, or be nice to them in passing, or say hi, or treat them with respect. No, respect for your elders in our way means spend time with them, learn from them, take the time out of take some of your precious time and give it to them. Because what are they gonna, you know, it's like by doing that, you know, like me, I'm not gonna gain anything from that that's gonna help me get richer or get to a better place in society. You know, it's not, you know, you take your time out of your day and you share it. And there's nothing, you know, for me, it's like, I don't feel like I'm using energy to do that. I feel like I'm gaining energy from that. And so it's like, I love my elders. I love spending time with them. They're my friends, and they're real. They're real with you, you know? It's like they're real.
That's right.
And-
They have no. They've been where you're going, and they know what they're seeing when they're looking at you.
So that's what true respect for your elders is taking the time to learn from them, spend time with them, you know, share your time with them. That's tradition right there.
Yeah.